guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Reoxium, and today I wanted to discuss the recent developer update that they just posted over on Twitter. So these changes were already discussed in the 6th anniversary broadcast. They have a new progression system, they have a bunch of perk overhauls, they have a bunch of incentives to play either survivor or killer, whichever side has the longer queues. Most of what I want to focus on in this video is the meta perk changes, but of course I want to brush up on the progression system a little bit, the incentive system a little bit as well. They're just not as exciting as maybe core gameplay changes. There is definitely a little bit of adjusting they have done to just core mechanics without adjusting the perks, and I really want to touch up on those as well because that's going to make a huge difference in how we play Dead by Daylight. Okay, first I do want to talk about the progression system. It is first on the list for the developer update. So as of right now, when you prestige a character, you reset them all the way back to level 1, you lose all their items, you lose all their perks, you lose all their add-ons and offerings, all that good stuff. But now, whenever you prestige a character, it's just going to reset you back to level 1, but you're not going to lose anything. Also, it's not optional. You have to prestige characters. If you want to spend blood points on your level 50 Huntress, then you have to reset all the way back to 1. Of course, this really isn't going to do anything. It's just going to make your blood webs probably smaller, I would assume. And of course, they did talk about reducing the grind. So the way that they have done this is that they have made it so whenever you prestige a character, you unlock all the tier 1 versions of their teachable perks on all the other killers. I'll play Trapper, and I've got him to, I've prestiged him once. Brutal Strength, level 1, is already going to be unlocked on my Bubba. But then I prestige the Trapper again, and now the tier 2 versions of those perks. So tier 2 Brutal Strength will be unlocked on Bubba already. And if you get to prestige 3, then all those level 3 perks are unlocked on everybody. That is amazing for the grind. And immediately when new killers come out, you're already going to have all your teachable perks unlocked on those characters if you have every single previous killer already leveled. Same thing for Survivor. All those characters you already have prestiged will immediately have all those new perks on them. So this will make playing new killers and new survivors so much better because you already have your perks that you love that you can already use on them. Now everybody is really wondering what the prestige reward will be because they're nerfing blood webs. In the past, when they did that the first time, they created legacy cosmetics, which were golden and they were glowy. They were just reskins of the default character cosmetics. But now everybody was excited to see what they would make the new rewards would be because everybody already leveled and they already put all the time and the blood points. It's not legacy cosmetics. They have already stated on their forums that they're not going to be cosmetics, they're not going to be charms, but now it's just going to be a fancy little symbol next to your name, which I find to be very underwhelming. It was a lot of work prestiging those characters. I've got 5,000 hours and I've got every character at P350 now. And it would have been nice to have just like a cooler reward. I don't know. I kind of wanted a Legacy 2.0. Maybe something that was like original Legacy, but a different color. Maybe make it silver. Anyway, your prestige level will now show at the left side. This is where ranks used to be, and then they changed that, but now they're going to have the level. You can't hide this anymore, so if you have a really, really high-leveled character, your survivors are going to know that you are a high-level character, or if you're a survivor, the killer's going to know that you have put so many hours and points into that one character. The Shrine of Secrets will also see a tiny bit of a change. If you just buy the perks that are in the shrine, it'll show up on your characters at tier 1. Kind of works hand in hand with prestiging as well. Buying it again will also increase its tier, so it'll go from buying it once, it's tier 1, buying it twice, tier 2, buying it thrice, tier 3. Not too much of a change, but works hand in hand with prestiging. A question that people frequently have been asking me is, are they going to keep the Bloody Cosmetic Prestige Award in the game? Yes, they are going to keep that, except you unlock it instead of unlocking it at 1, 2, 3. You unlock those Bloody Cosmetics at 4, 5, and 6. So prestiging for the first 3 times gives you the teachable perks on all your other characters. Prestiging the 4th, 5th, and 6th time will grant you those Bloody Cosmetics. So it's a little bit harder to get those, a little bit more work, but yes, they are still staying in the game. It also says that when the system releases, they'll automatically be awarding existing players an appropriate number of prestige levels based on how many perks tiers they've unlocked. Well, I've unlocked all of them on Killer, so I'm really excited to see what level it'll automatically make everybody. They said that they will be hosting a live stream to answer any questions that we might have before this PTB is released. All right, and this is definitely exciting as well to see a matchmaking incentives. If you guys ever play Survivor at night in the United States, tons of people are playing Survivor. So the Survivor queues can get as bad as like 5-10 minutes. And it is crazy to wait for a game that might not even last that long. What they're going to do is perhaps give you a boost to the blood points you would get if you played on the other side. Some people might take this, some people might not. We'll definitely have to see if this really affects queue times. I'm really hoping it does. It'll be really nice to be able to play any side at any time of the day, but of course, I'm sure people are just going to stick to their own side. I know a lot of people get nervous when they play Killer, so regardless, they're always just going to just stick to Survivor, or people just don't like to play Survivor and they're just going to stick to Killer. But yeah, this is really exciting. Hopefully this will help with queue times quite a bit. All right, and here is the meat that I feel that everybody has glossed over, and this is actually super, super crazy. This is going to change a lot in how we play the game. They have done some updates to perks, right? And because they have changed a lot of the meta perks for Killer, spoiler alert, they've nerfed a lot of slowdown perks. What they want to do is that they actually want to change the base game so you don't feel as if you need to run really strong slowdown perks. They have increased generator repair time. They have increased it from 80 seconds to 90 seconds. So 10 seconds longer, you have to hold M1 or whatever button it is on controller to just power up one generator. This is the sort of balance that they've made for nerfing all of these slowdown perks to just making generators take a little bit longer. I dislike this quite a bit because the most boring part of playing Survivor is just doing generators, because you know, you're just sitting there holding your M1 button, you're not doing anything, you're just like chilling, and now you have to do that for 10 seconds longer per generator. I dislike this change very much, but if they're going to nerf a whole bunch of slowdown perks, then maybe this is reasonable. We'll definitely have to see how this pans out on the PTB. A little side note, kicking a generator will now instantly remove 2.5% of its maximum progress. So if you're stopping to kick a generator mid-chase, it's actually now probably a good thing. And if a survivor taps it, then of course you could kick it again and remove 2.5% more of it, although 2.5% isn't a whole lot. So if you're kicking gens mid-chase, they're like not leaving the tile, that'll be good. But honestly, if you are kicking a generator before you can like catch up to the survivor, it's still considered a bad thing because you lose all of that distance. All right, and this is something that is blowing my mind. I cannot believe they actually did this. There's like a little bit of adjusting that I am happy that they have done, but they have increased the speed in which killers do actions. So now pallets and walls are kicked 10% faster. It might seem like 10% is nothing at all, but keep in mind, sometimes if you kick a pallet and you're chasing a survivor and they get to another pallet and they just barely throw it down in your face before you can get a hit, this is gonna make all the difference in the world. They haven't made a change like this in forever. And they're also reducing successful basic attacks cooldown by 10%, which is also pretty crazy because now everything is just quicker. They're also reducing the duration of survivor speed boost upon being hit by 10%. 10% isn't a lot for the speed boost, I would say, but it's like 0.2 seconds. Still, that's just that much more distance the survivors can't gain on you, which I actually really, really love that change, because a lot of meta survivors who know how to play maps, regardless of playing chases, they will just hold W. That's what everybody says, the whole W meta. And now they're reducing that speed boost that you get after getting hit to hopefully counter that as well, which I love doing that. There are a lot of perks with anti-loot powers, so that sucks a little bit, but hopefully 10% won't be too much of a damaging thing to the way that Dead by Daylight is played. Okay, so here is something that I really despise. I hate it so much. Bloodlust. If you're not familiar with Bloodlust as a mechanic, it is, I don't want to be mean, but it is a cop-out for chases. If you cannot catch a survivor within a certain amount of time, your speed increases. So if you are getting juiced by a particularly fantastic survivor and they're going through windows. You're not kicking pallets. They're just, doing regular vaulting, looping stuff. You get a speed boost to try to catch that survivor. I dislike Bloodlust so much because it feels like you're getting rewarded for playing badly. That's what it feels like on Survivor. If you're playing super well, too bad, the killer's just going to be faster. And they've decreased the time for Bloodlust to activate. Tier 1 still activates at 15 seconds, but Tier 2 now activates at 25. Tier 3 activates at 35. So that is a crazy numbers change. That's like every 10 seconds you just get slightly faster. They do say right here that they will be watching closely to ensure that nothing gets out of hand. They don't want like a huge change, but honestly, I just delete Bloodlust. Anyway, moving on. This next part, very exciting, very amazing. We'd love to see this. Camping and tunneling in Dead by Daylight is one of the worst things to play against as a survivor. Some killers might say, oh, you need to camp and tunnel one survivor out of the game or else it's just not fair and a 3v1 is the way to play. No, it's very unfun for that one survivor you're camping and tunneling. To counter that, they have added built-in borrowed time, which is awesome. The borrowed time is only going to run for about 5 seconds, so you get a 5-second endurance effect after being unhooked. So you can get to a nearby tile. 5 seconds isn't that much, but it should get you to like a window or something. You also get a 7% haste status effect, so you're slightly faster as well. Only 7% faster, but that does make a huge difference on the killers who are slow. Say your huntress, your base speed is 110%. A survivor is the base 100%, so they're only 3% slower than you, so they are probably going to get to a tile. What they're trying to do with this base kit change, putting in borrowed time, is that they don't want survivors to feel as if they have to run second chance perks in order to have a fun game. They want, more interaction in the game. They want people to run more fun perks instead of just like the second chance ones that ensure your survival. It's not fun for either side to have to just deal with perks all the time. But now, since it's base kit, maybe we won't have to run borrowed time or decisive strike or dead hard to actually be able to play the game. Dead by Daylight has really come a long way for trying to make the game more fun, and I really do appreciate the effort on their part. Anyway, moving on to the meta perk changes. Now, this is what everybody has been hyped up about. We have had the most stale meta in any multiplayer game I have ever seen. Dead Hard has been in the game literally since Hunters was released and has not been touched. So if you guys have seen, Dead by Daylight did release some stats showing the most used perks by each side, and these don't change very often. They change if new better perks come out. Survivors have had sort of a stale meta for a really long time. So what have they decided to do? Well, they're gonna change them. Mainly, they are nerfing them. There's a couple of perks that are getting buffed. The devs just want a change in meta. Whether it's good changes or bad changes is up for debate. A lot of these perks they have just like flat out nerfed. Like the good perks that have been used quite a bit, they just nerfed the shit out of them. Barbecue and chili, you guys, we love this perk. This is like one of the most used perks that everybody loves, and not because it's so amazing, but because it reduces the blood point grind. So now that they're reducing the blood point grind by making it so you get all these teachable perks on your killers when you prestige them, they've decided to just take away the blood point factor in barbecue and chili. So now all it does is provide ore rating that's not really that great. Honestly, most people just use barbecue and chili because of the blood point gain. 100% blood points per game is insane. This is just an ore reading perk now, and they're not going to buff the ore reading at all. The ore reading is only kind of good. It's very counterable by hiding in lockers, hiding behind generators, or just being within the radius. This is definitely not going to be run as much at all, especially on killers that have low mobility. I can't really see barbecue and chili being ran very much anymore. We'll definitely have to see. On to the next perk, which is Hex Ruin. This is a very popular slowdown perk, especially at high level MMR. This perk automatically regresses generators by 200% when they're not being worked on, and Hex Totem is still up. No longer is that the case. It will now be 100%. So it's just going to regress at 100% speed as if you had just kicked it. So this means huge nerf. Just flat out huge nerf, not even like an adjustment or anything else. It's just brought the numbers down from 200% to 100%. Will we stop seeing this perk being run? I don't know. There are gonna probably be better perks to run instead of Hex Ruin, but this one is, I never really use Hex Ruin. Maybe you guys will still see use from this perk. Pop Goes the Weasel. This perk, whenever you kicked a generator after hooking a survivor, you regressed a whole bunch of it. So now instead, it's going to be 20% of the generator's current total progress. So it won't be as much as if you were kicking a generator that was at 50%. It won't reduce it by that 20% and making it 30. What it'll do is it'll remove 20% of that 50%. So if you guys do the math, I'm not gonna do it. It's less. Also, generators just regress by 2.5% when you kick them anyway, so technically it'll be 22.5%. Also, another nerf. You just kick generators a little bit less. Still a really good perk. They didn't nerf this one too much. You'll probably still see a lot of play with Pop Goes the Weasel. Everybody used it on high mobility killers. I'm still going to be using this on probably Blight. It's whatever your playstyle is. If you kick generators, of course, it's already going to lose 2.5% of it, so might as well just run Pop Goes the Weasel. Corrupt Intervention! This is my favorite slowdown perk in quotations, because it doesn't slow the survivor's ability to do gens, it just kind of herds them further into the map. So what they did is that they kept the same stats, but if you down a survivor while Corrupt Intervention is in effect, it'll just stop its effect. I dislike this. I kind of do like them nerfing slowdown perks, but if I see a survivor like in the beginning of the game and I get it down, then it's just it's a useless perk because it's gone now. I guess you could argue that if you just don't find anybody early game and if you get somebody down, that that's going to be good pressure for you regardless, but I don't know if I'll run Corrupt Intervention very much anymore. Maybe I'll try other perks and maybe I'll come back to it. We'll have to see. Corrupt Intervention was really good for setup killers such as Trapper and Hag, and maybe slower killers such as Huntress. Alright. Takeover. This perk is obnoxious. I don't like playing against this perk as a survivor. Whenever a generator reaches 70% of its progress, you'll get a noise notification and you'll know where it is and you'll be undetectable, so you could sneak up on that generator and possibly stop it from being completed. This one is really good for high mobility killers, but also killers who just run Hex Ruin so they can sneak up on you, get a hit, and then make you run away, and then the regression just happens naturally while you're getting chased. So what they've done is that Tinkerer can now only be activated once per generator. This is like that new Sadako perk that came out. I can't remember off the top of my head. Only activates once, and then they've changed the base charges, increases to 90, so killers will have an extra time to approach. So just also a flat out nerf, and no longer activates multiple times, and it can only activate once per generator. Okay, NOED. The one perk that's very, very controversial. Survivor mains hate it, killer mains love it. This one, everybody just... It's kind of rewards bad gameplay. I'll just get that out of the way. It's a perk that makes you so strong if you get to the end of the game where you get a free insta-down. You get free speed and you get a free insta-down. And they haven't changed that. I'm surprised they haven't changed NOED at all. I've got a feeling somebody at Behavior likes this perk quite a bit, because all they did is that they have made it so you will see the Hex Totem's aura within 4 meters upon activation, and then the range increases to 24 meters over a course of 30 seconds. So if an exit gate is powered, survivor's right in front of you, you get an insta-down, and then, NOED activates the same way. You still get the speed boost, you still get the insta-down. That's kind of like the point that everybody hated. I don't really like the speed boost you get from NOED. The insta-down is okay, but they've changed all the other perks quite a bit. They've just made it so it's easier to cleanse, but imagine the killer hooks you right next to the Hex Totem. There's no chance for you being saved. You just have to leave. Anyway, disappointed with the NOED changes, because that doesn't change hardly anything at all. Alright, Scourge Hook Pain Resonance, the newest perk that entered the killer meta. Whenever you hook a survivor on a Scourge Hook, the generator with the most progress will explode and notify the killer which generator that was. So, they haven't really decreased a whole lot of this utility. What they have done is that they have removed the noise notification you get, so you don't get to see which generator exploded. It just loses that progress. So it's still a pretty strong regression perk, but now the killer can't just go over to that generator that you were working on. They don't know what that one was unless they see it spark or they have already seen how much progress it had. This is a good change. This isn't like a complete rework of the perk. It just makes it so it doesn't pair as well with other regression perks. This is a good change. I actually really like this one. Okay, moving on to the Survivor meta perks. And of course, in good fashion, the very first perk that they list on here is Dead Hard. The perk ran in about 75% of high MMR games. So, what this perk does, I don't know if you've been living under a rock. Dead Hard, you press E, you gain some distance and some iframes. Very, very recently, Dead Hard has been used for just about distance. So what they have done is that they have deleted the distance you get You get the endurance for 1 second, but you don't really get that much of a distance. This is used solely to dodge hits, which the killers can try to bait out accordingly. I don't have a good idea if this will be used still or not, considering we'll have to see how this works in the PTB to get a good idea if it's still good or not. We don't know how much distance you gain with it. We don't really know how long, 1 second, how much of a difference that will make. This is a flat out nerf. You know, you decrease the distance, you only give the endurance for 1 second. I don't want to go too far into depth about these dead hard changes because the endurance status effect is like borrowed time, right? You get a hit and then you get a bunch of distance. So we don't really know how useful Dead Hard is going to be until we get our hands on it. We could practice with it. We don't know if the animation is going to be cancelable by vaulting a window, so you can bait killers into hitting you when you vault a window and gain a bunch of distance. So this is going to have to be tested on PTB before I can formulate a really good opinion about it. It might still be as good as it is now, so we will definitely have to wait and see. All right, Decisive Strike. This might be an unpopular opinion, but I liked Decisive Strike the way it is. Maybe decrease the amount of time that you have it active for. What Decisive Strike does, you get unhooked, you get 60 seconds. If you get picked up, if you get downed and picked up at any of that duration of time, you get a skill check that lets you escape from the killer's grasp. It's pretty good for anti-tunneling. It's pretty good, except you can use Decisive Strike aggressively. And what I mean by that is that you can jump in the killer's face. You can prevent other people from being hit with Decisive Strike. You know, if you go down, it's not a big deal. You've got 60 seconds of immunity, especially in endgame, that if a survivor's on hook and they get unhooked, it's just they're out of the gate. There's nothing you can do. It feels really junky to get in that sort of situation as the killer, that if somebody just is on hook, they're completely immune to what you can do at all. So what they have done, they still allow you to have that 60 seconds of immunity if you get downed and you get picked up, on top of already the borrowed time base kit changes. However, what they have done now is that they have decreased the stun duration from 5 seconds to 3 seconds. And then whenever the exit gates are powered, meaning all 5 gens are done, exit gates are not open, you can't use Decisive Strike. It's not just a free escape anymore, right? You can't just get off the hook and then immediately be like, haha, I can run to the gate, I can take a hit from my teammates because no matter what, I get escape out of your grasp, I could just crawl out. So that feels really nice to have a change to that as well. Moving on to Borrowed Time, the one perk that they have already made a little bit base kit. So they've actually buffed the numbers for Borrowed Time. They have made the endurance effect of unhooked survivors 6, 8, and 10. I don't remember what they were before, but I know that these numbers are slightly higher. It also increases the movement speed duration by 10 seconds for any survivor you unhook. So that 7% that you got before is now increased by 10 seconds of a duration. You will definitely get to a tile if you use Borrowed Time. So really, they've kind of buffed this perk. They're still hoping to see a little bit less use of it because they've put Borrowed Time into base kit, but I honestly don't think so. I think Borrowed Time is still going to be run just as much as it was before. If they really want to see this perk not be used quite often, they have to just nerf it. It's so good to just be able to save your teammate and give them a little bit extra bonus so they don't get immediately tunneled out of the game. I know I'm still going to be using Borrowed Time. Anyway, yeah, this is definitely a buff for Borrowed Time. Moving on! Rest in peace, Iron Will. Oh no, this perk is this is a dead perk now. So Iron Will, everybody knows it. You're just silent. You get hurt, you don't make the sounds. That's great. Now they've changed it, so instead of being 100% silent at tier 3, you're now 75% silent at tier 3. You don't get to be completely silent. I don't think this perk is going to be ran hardly at all. You're going to see red herring in your games more than you'll see Iron Will. It's been nerfed so hard. And also, it doesn't work if you're exhausted. So if you are running Sprint Burst and running Iron Will, you will never see use out of this perk. You cannot run this perk with Sprint Burst at all. You can run this perk with maybe Live, Smash Hit, New Dead Hard, but you cannot run it with Sprint Burst whatsoever. So time to change up your builds a little bit. Self-Care, another perk that I don't think needed to be nerfed at all. Self-Care, you heal yourself 50% slower. I like Self-Care. They changed it to be 35%, which is crazy to me. That is a huge numbers change. I could have seen if they had nerfed it a little bit to like maybe 40 or 45%, but they just made it 35%. Good luck to you people on low MMR because your teammates are going to be self-carrying the corner. They're not going to stop. they're not going to stop running self-care. They're terrified of being injured. They just don't want people using it as much, I suppose. But, you know, I don't think people at lower rank really care to read all these numbers. They're just going to throw it on and they're going to be self-caring forever. They also removed the efficiency for having med kits with self-care. I actually like that change. I wish they had just done that instead of nerfing the heal speed that you have. Okay, Spine Chill. So I actually have a hidden hate for this perk. I really, really dislike Spine Chill. It basically is a big giant fuck you to any killer who is playing stealthy. Not even just like Myers or Ghostface or Pig, right? It also affects perks where it makes you undetectable. So you don't get undetectable perks. This perk is just so insane, encountering so many aspects of the game. So I am very secretly happy Spine Chill is getting changed. This is my one hill that I will die on. I hate Spine Chill. I think if I want to play a stealth killer, I shouldn't have to do this ridiculous thing where I have to walk backwards and not look at a survivor so they don't know I'm coming. So now Spine Chill only activates if the killer has a clear line of sight to the survivor. So that's nice. If you're coming up behind a wall on top of a survivor, they don't know you're there. I'm actually really excited for this change because now I can play stealth killers and I don't have to worry about Spine Chill. They've added a lingering effect that's just so it doesn't like constantly light up. And they've also removed the vaulting speed bonus entirely. That was kind of just like a thing that this perk had that I don't think was ever really intended. It just kind of happened that way. So rest in peace, people who were doing vault build. It's dead. You no longer get the Spine Chill boost to it. So moving on to the non-meta perk changes. These are perks that don't really see that much use and they want to see an increase in use. So they've changed Overcharge to be like kind of good now. Instead of just making it so Overcharge has this skill check you have to hit if you want to work on it, it now has increased the generator's regression speed, going from 100% to 400% over the course of only 30 seconds. So you kind of want to stop this generator from regressing. Overcharge might just be used way more. I know I'm going to be using this on Killer for a while. Moving on to Eruption. This is a Nemesis perk. Whenever you kick a generator, it highlights in yellow, and the next time you down a survivor, all those generators that you have kicked will now explode and lose a little bit of its progression and make any survivor that was working on it incapacitated. They've just taken these numbers and they have bumped them up. They have increased the generator regression penalty to 10% and also the incapacitation effect to 25% at the highest level. With this developer update, I'm getting the sense that the devs want us to kick more generators. They've buffed the kicking perks, kicking speeds as well. I think the devs really just want us to kick generators. Moving on to Knockout. This perk made it so nobody could see you if you slugged a survivor. What it does now is that it'll cause survivors to crawl 50% slower for 15 seconds and reduce the recovery speed by 25%. So if I'm a slugging killer, if I'm twins, I'm gonna be running Knockout, especially for that recovery speed. The crawl speed is okay. I mean, survivors don't really crawl that fast anyway. If you knock them down, then you'll know where they are. So yeah, that's in addition to all the effects that it has already, so Knockout does quite a bit. If you are a slugging killer, you will definitely be a fan of this perk, and I can already tell this is going to be a headache to play against as a survivor. Colorophobia. Yeah, you just heal slower, but they just added a thing where now you get skill checks by 50%. So that's not really that much. Colorophobia still sucks. They just added a little bit to it. I don't know why they included it in this developer update. It's just not a good perk. If somebody sees Colorophobia activate, they're just going to run outside your tear radius. So let's just skip that one. It's still not very good. Dark Devotion, one of the most fun perks to play with. It's very confusing. You hit your obsession and they take your tear radius and the survivors near them will hear it, but then you don't have one yourself. So, Dark Devotion actually activates whenever the obsession loses a health state. There are different things in the game that cause you to lose a health state. What this means is that a plague player who puked on a generator and the obsession is working on it across the map will take the tear radius of the plague if they go into broken, if they lose their health state and they're now sick. So that's super interesting. Also, it'll work with Trapper as well. If somebody gets caught in a trap and they free themselves and they're now injured, that'll give them the tear radius. That's really interesting. I kind of like that. That's a good change. I like that. Dark Devotion. Oh, it's only like a very, very slight change. All right, Jolt allows the killer to regress generators by downing a survivor. So what they have done is that they've just removed the cooldown, which I love that. I love that the cooldown's gone. It's so good. If survivors are around you and constantly getting downed, that is their fault and you should benefit from it and not have a huge cooldown to this perk. Lethal Pursuer. Now this is super interesting to see. In addition to that very almost useless effect that it has, it extends the duration of all aura reading effects by 2 seconds. So if you're running Lethal Pursuer and you're running Barbecue and Chili, you hook somebody, you see them for about however many seconds, like 10 seconds, you will now see them for 12. Lethal Pursuer will just buff the other aura reading perks, so if you're playing Nurse and you just got all these aura reading perks, you're learning her, you want to be able to see where survivors are, run Lethal Pursuer, run I'm All Ears, run Floods of Rage. Scourge Hook, Gift of Pain, they're just buffing the numbers. They're making so the action speed penalty is 10, 13 to 16%. Thanatophobia as well, they are just buffing the numbers. I guess that does encourage people to heal more and not just stay injured, but on killers like Legion, on high mobility killers who can get hits more often, this is definitely going to be a staple in any killer's build, especially Plague as well. This is going to be a staple in Plague's build for sure if it wasn't before. Now, Monstrous Shrine. This perk, actually, they have completely changed this perk to being a Scourge Hook perk. What it'll do now is that it'll change all of the hooks in Basement to Scourge Hooks, meaning you have to run another perk with this to actually get it to work. So you have to run Gift of Pain with Monstrous Shrine, and then you get that effect if you hook people in Basement. Now, Scourge Hooks, not just Basement hooks, Scourge Hooks grant faster entity progression, 20% faster, but only if the killer is not within 24 meters. Basement's not a very fun mechanic for survivors. It kind of sucks to play against killers like Hag and Trapper who are just insane basement strategies. The Monstrous Shrine just got this huge buff. We probably will see it being ran, but only by people who want to just stay in Basement. Okay, buffing to other perks. Calm Spirit still does the same stuff, but now you open chests, cleanse, and bless totems silently, except now it's slightly slower. I don't get that. I don't get why they made it slightly slower. Weird. It's kind of like a weird buff nerf because like now if you want to run Calm Spirit for its original effects, you kind of do stuff like slower. Not really a good change. I kind of would have just liked them to be able to do stuff silently. I don't think they needed to make it slower. Even if they made it slower, not even 30%, maybe 20% at max. Saboteur. Now you can see Scourge Hooks. I don't run Saboteur, so I didn't know this. If you ran this perk, you didn't see Scourge Hooks with it, which was so strange to me because why not? So now you can actually see them and they're more identifiable as well. So you can use Saboteur to kind of play around Scourge Hooks. I kind of like this change a lot. Scourge Hooks have become quite a bit meta in Dead by Daylight recently, so people run them more often. Now you can run Saboteur and possibly go stop a Scourge Hook from being used. I actually really like this. It makes Scourge Hooks a bigger part of regular Dead by Daylight gameplay. You don't have to use them, but there's a whole bunch of more counterplay to these kind of things, and I really like this change. I think it's good. Botany Knowledge. They've just increased the healing speed up from 33% to 50%. Love that change. I love Botany Knowledge. It's such a good perk. This also kind of makes up for the fact that they have nerfed self-care. If you run Botany Knowledge and self-care together, you're still going to be healing quite a bit faster. Now, off the record, this perk is going to be interesting. I don't know what they were thinking with this perk. Everybody is already immediately pissed. You can rate it and you can tell why. Because it gives you the endurance status effect up to 80 seconds. Performing a conspicuous action will disable this, but honestly, like, I don't think they thought this one through because off the record, it's not gonna be used in the way they think it will be used. I'm assuming off the record, it's gonna be kind of a I get to body block my teammates for 80 seconds kind of thing. Of course, you could just hit the survivor, but it's gonna be mad annoying that if somebody gets unhooked and you're just trying to chase the other survivor, you can't wait it out. You can't wait for borrowed time. You have to wait 80 seconds and then you're going to hit somebody and you're going to lose that distance, which sucks. I don't think they're going to keep off the record the same way. It seems so insane. 80 seconds! Moving on. I don't want to talk about off the record too much because I don't think it's going to stay. Lucky Break. This perk, whenever you get injured, you just don't leave any scratches. You don't make any sound. You don't leave any blood pools for duration of time. But now they have made it so you can actually recharge this perk. So if you heal another survivor it increases your duration by 1 second for each second spent healing somebody else. So you can recharge it. I dislike Lucky Break quite a bit because it feels shitty to chase a survivor and then they turn a corner and they've disappeared, like effectively just ending a chase immediately. That kind of sucks, like if you're snowballing hard and then somebody is just like, oh, you can't find them now. All the tools you used to chase people are just gone. So I don't like seeing a buff to Lucky Break. It was fun for a little bit because you got to escape like 1 or 2 chases, but it's so obnoxious for the killer to not be able to track you whatsoever. Yeah, not a fan. Not a fan at all. Pharmacy! This is a Quentin perk. Whenever you search a chest for the first time, you found a green med kit, and that was it. You also search chests like 20% faster, something like that. So now Pharmacy just activates whenever you're injured. So the next time you search a chest, you are guaranteed to find an emergency medkit. This effect can happen multiple times in one trial. So if there's just an unopened chest, you're like, oh my god, I need a medkit to heal myself. You just go up to it, you find it, you open it. That's great. So yeah, Pharmacy got a slight buff, but we won't see very much use at all. Soul Survivor. Soul Survivor increases your generator repair speed by 75% and your exit gate and hatch action speed by 50%. So this only activates when you are the last survivor standing. So this is basically just a, oh yeah, I want to actually survive. I want to be the sole survivor. Kind of a buff to the perk, but really, I'm not going to use this because I want to play the game. I don't want to put a whole perk into just being the last person alive. It's a slight buff. Definitely not going to be used in high-level MMR unless you are just trying to escape. Moving on to Distortion. This is a perk that people use to hide from you, from your aura reading perks. And now you can gain tokens by just spending 30 seconds within the killer's tear radius. I think this is a good change. People who run a whole perk just to not be seen by aura reading perks is like, yeah, they just don't want to be seen. They just want to be stealthy. So this is a good change. I don't really like stealth gameplay, but if a survivor really is terrified of being seen, then this will be the perk for you. Lightweight. This one used to just make it so your scratch marks faded quicker. So in addition to those existing effects, now your scratch marks will be harder to track with. They're going to be more sporadic. So also another perk that I dislike. I don't like this change whatsoever. It also makes scratch marks fade quite a bit sooner. I don't like perks that mess with the fundamental mechanics of Dead by Daylight, so if you're just chasing somebody and they have lightweight, you're just not gonna be able to find them, and that sucks. Alright, Deja Vu! Whenever you power a generator, the 3 closest generators will be seen to you. In addition to that now, they'll be 5% faster. So that's cool. 5% really isn't that much of a bonus. Maybe if you pair this with other perks to get a faster speed boost or with a toolbox. Definitely, we might see more use out of this one, but ultimately it's just okay. 5% isn't that much. You know, maybe people will pair it with some other perks. No One Left Behind. Now this perk is never used. It has never been used ever. In addition to its current effects, No One Left Behind will grant a 7% movement speed bonus to any survivor you unhook. So I think that means that lasts the entire rest of the game. So whenever the exit gates are powered, you unhook a survivor, they now have 7% movement speed bonus. On top of all those other perks, mind you, that give you a speed boost. So if you're running No One Left Behind and Borrow Time, plus those base kit speed changes, you're going to be speedy. Any perk that affects the end game is okay with me because that's one less perk the survivors are going to use during the game. That's one less second chance perk. Overall, good change. Dark Sense. When a generator is powered, Dark Sense activates. The next time a killer comes within 24 meters of you, their aura was revealed for 5, 7, and 10 seconds. This is definitely a good change. Dark Sense used to be that whenever you powered a generator, you would see where the killer was, but now the next time they come close to you, you see their aura. I don't think we'll be seeing much use out of Dark Sense. It's supposed to be like a good perk to see if the killer's coming close to you, but yeah, if you have good game sense, it's really not a big deal. So a nice buff, but definitely we're not going to be seeing Dark Sense used in any high MMR games anytime soon. Tenacity! In addition to the current effects, Tenacity reduces your grunts of pain by 75%, so you're quieter on the ground. With the increased crawling speed, you're just gonna be able to like evade the killers so incredibly well. If you were slugged for even like 5 seconds, you were gone. It's okay. Tenacity is kind of a niche perk as well. It's just for people who hate being slugged. I think it's fine. This is a fine change. I don't like not being able to find people on the ground, but if you just pick them up immediately, which you do in like 90% of your chases, it's not a big deal. Hope! This perk used to be on a timer and now it's not. That's basically the whole change. It's just a straight buff, which we love to see. Hope is, you know, a very niche perk and just giving it that base of always being active in the end game. Hell yeah. Pair this with No One Left Behind and you're gonna just be so fast. I can't wait to see how fast you could actually be in endgame whenever people activate all these perks together. It's gonna be so hilarious. Overzealous, this perk literally just came out. I don't know why they included it in this developer update, why they couldn't just like actually grant you this speed boost immediately when the PTB for Dredge was released. They just buffed the numbers. Generators were changed to have 10 extra seconds added to them, so I guess we might see more use out of this. I don't know. We're gonna live forever. They've changed this perk to being just blood points and then picking up survivors from slugged to just picking up survivors being slugged and then no blood points. They're taking away the blood point addition out of all of the perks. They're doing it to barbecue and chili, and now they're doing it to we're gonna live forever. So this one's a little bit confusing. When you do the actions that have granted you tokens, you activate the perk's secondary effect, which is if you heal somebody from the dying state, you give them endurance effect for 10 seconds. So it's like a reverse soul guard that you give to your teammates, but only if you have a stack, which means you have to unhook somebody safely or take a protection hit, and then I think you lose that stack. So if you unhook somebody, they get knocked down, and then you heal them from the dying state, you give them endurance for a little bit. We might still see use out of this one quite a bit, actually. And I'm really interested to see what's going on because Knockout did get just buffed, so people are probably going to be slugging a little bit more, so we might see more use out of We're Gonna Live Forever. It'll definitely be one of those things we will have to see. And with that concludes the entire developer update of June 2022. We saw some massive changes to perks, and they've done a lot of core gameplay adjustments. They've adjusted the numbers for everything. They've made killers do practically everything 10% faster. There will be a live stream discussing this developer update, so you guys be sure to ask good questions. We want to know a lot more stuff about these meta perk changes. They said they'll be keeping an extra close eye out for feedback. Hopefully, you know, there is one perk that I really hope doesn't go into effect, and I think you all know what it is. Regardless, if you guys think all these perk changes were good, if they were bad, I think this is just so nice to have. Dead by Daylight has been stale for so very long. All of these perks have just done the same thing. No longer can you dead hard for distance. That is the main thing that everybody was so excited about, and I'm very happy about that. I will definitely be playing the PTB. If you guys want to check it out, come watch me at my Twitch. I will be streaming the PTB, of course, the day that it drops, and we will be checking out all these new perks, all these new playstyles. I've got every single perk on my killers, P3 level 50. So we'll see how this new prestige system works. I want to see what level I can get my characters to, because I got all the perks unlocked, and they did say that you get a higher prestige level for having all those perks previously unlocked. This is a huge change, and I hope you guys are as excited as I am. Let me know what you thought about these perks in the comments. Do you guys think that these are very redundant and unnecessary? Hopefully this does a shift in the meta for Dead by Daylight. I'm very excited to play the game. It's gonna be so different. Maybe they'll announce even more changes on this live stream, so keep an eye out for it. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed my content, be sure to leave a like. Be sure to recommend it to your friends. Be sure to check out my other videos as well. I play a lot of this game and I enjoy it quite a bit, and I hope you guys do too. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good rest of your day.